delighted to say that our special guest today is a Saints legend. He's been with the club for 18 years. I actually made a note of this, so I didn't get it wrong. 381 games, made his debut at Wakefield all the way back in March 2009. 18 years at the club. Jonny Lomax, welcome. Good to see you. So I'm just saying to you before, it makes me feel very old every time I see you because you went to school with my daughter. So
yeah, I know it's a bit of a mad one. It's been a long time. I think it goes in the blink of an eye as well. I still go in pretty much feeling like I'm a kid every time I go into training and into the workplace. It's something that you enjoy, and I think you've got to keep that enjoyment about you all the way through it. So that's what I try and do, and I think you go in with, and I suppose there's some boys there that are 18 years old, 19, 20, and they certainly make you feel young. I'm probably at the other end of the scale where they're making me feel much younger than I'm making you feel old. Yes,
absolutely. Well, first and foremost, how's the injury?
Yeah, it's improving pretty well, to be honest. It's a bit of a rare one. What I've managed to do, to dislocate my wrist into essentially the palm of my hand, making it as simple as possible.
It seemed so innocuous as well when you did it, but as soon as you attempted to make the tackle, you knew it wasn't good.
Yeah, I kind of, if I'm probably honest, probably got up a bit slower, probably getting a bit of my bearings together. I think I might have caught my head on the floor as well, and I kind of looked up. I didn't even roll my arm over, it was just stuck. It was stuck and locked in that position. I remember thinking, this ain't good. Obviously, Millsy, the physio, came on and asked me what have I done, and I just said, oh mate, I've either fractured it, dislocated, or done both. It's not right. And then he kind of said to me, do you think you can get back in the defensive line? I thought, I'll give it a go. I started trying to trot back into the line, and I said, mate, I've no chance. Yeah. But it's definitely moving in the right direction. It's something that I've really seen improve over the last week or two.
Have you and Jack and Matty and Big Al, and the list goes on, have you been able to be involved with the first team squad, with helping, with encouraging, with just being involved in it?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously there's the right time and place to do that as well. I think one thing that they've been really good at, the medical staff and obviously the S&Cs, is us being when we can be on the field, is be on the field when the team is. So I've been able to do a lot of my running at the side of the pitch, getting flogged with what I can see when I'm not blowing, watching and then being able to help from there and kind of go and speak to a couple of people at the end of the session if you see anything. Being able to run, it helps your mind a lot with the injury, and it helps you to keep some level of involvement. So that's been good, and like I said, if you pick anything up, you can go and spend a bit of time with the lads. So obviously with the younger team that we've got at the minute, they're an incredibly talented group.
I'm just interested to know about the captaincy. Obviously that's changed. You've handed the mantle on to Matty Lees, and when he was sat here on the last edition of Sit Down with Saints, he said how appreciative he was of your support, and the fact that you did everything that you possibly could to make him feel the new captain.
I knew that doing the right thing was, again, I'm not someone that sulks on things that don't come away. I think about what's next, and to see someone like Matty be told that he's going to get it, he's someone that, I'd have supported it if he was made captain before me previously. Like, it'd have been something that I'd have supported. It's something that I'd have bought into, and it's something that I'd have been happy about to see a good friend of mine and someone that I've seen through struggles with injuries and ups and downs in his career. To see him go and grow from the young lad that I first saw come into the first team is something that I'm incredibly proud of. So in some ways it was a prouder moment for me to actually hand it over to him as opposed to me actually being given it. And I think that's something that I'd stand by. Like, I was incredibly proud to have the opportunity to give it Matty. I know it was something that we had a conversation with Rolls, and I'm not going to be around forever anyway. That's one thing that I always say is people ask, what you're going to do, how long you're going to play for. And the reality is I don't completely know. All I know is I'm not getting another 18 years out the game. I've got far less time left than I've had. And some ways not having that captaincy is you can go and enjoy whatever is left.
We sit here today and you're very honest about appreciating what you've had, because it could all have been so different. You know, it could all have ended in an instant. You go back to those dark times. I mean, for a lot of people watching this will know there'll be a lot of people who are watching who don't know what happened to you. You got a very serious brain injury, and you could have died.
Yeah, it sounds dramatic, that, doesn't it? But yeah, I suppose that's how it was.
It's true, Johnny, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I was quite, ignorance is bliss sometimes, isn't it? Being a young kid, you just think that you get an operation and you get fixed and off you go again.
Yep.
You're bulletproof. Probably in that instance, it's probably it's my mum and dad that had to suffer, and the people around me, my sister as well. They saw it firsthand what it could have been, and they were told the news that going into surgeries 50-50 and don't know what quality of life he'll have when he comes back round. And it's quite it's something that I probably never really understood, didn't have to. Mum and dad never really spoke about it to me, neither did my sister. My sister's younger than me. They've all got big memories of it, but obviously I kind of, from clashing my head, I'd had a 5-day bleed on the brain and pretty much passed out by the pain. So obviously, against the physical pain of the sports and the injuries, is generally the easiest thing to deal with over the mental and the emotional. And in terms of this injury, I didn't have to deal with any of the mental or emotional. It was all my mum, my dad, my sister being there, my extended family that dealt with it, and they kept it quiet from me. So I didn't know the ins and outs of it, but what I did know is when I was coming back round that, I was adamant I was going to play again. We had a few arguments with the surgeons that had done the beautiful work, and it does sound dramatic, but like you say, it saved my life. And I just remember being a petulant little boy, really, sat in my bed, having all these wires attached to me and just arguing the toss about when I'm going to play again.
Remind us of how old you were then.
I'd been 14, so it had been just before my 15th birthday. I was 14 years old, obviously, all again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you were told or you were advised not to even think about playing again.
No, I was told no straight away. I was told you're going to have to resit a year of school. It was actually quite good at first. When I went back to school, I used to get given all these cards, so if I ever had headache, I could just leave the classroom, and whenever I wanted to go to the toilet, I could go to the toilet. Obviously, it took me a while to get back to school, but it was quite good. It was summertime. The school was winding down, you know how it was back when we used to push the tellies out and you'd be watching a film in RE and stuff like that. So, but I'd have the card, so I shouldn't really say it, but if I got a bit bored, I was, I'm going for a walk, I need some fresh air, I'm getting a headache, and so that was quite funny going back to that. But yeah, I was told resit years of school and everything else, and that's why, I'm lucky, fortunate, whatever it might be, to have come out the other side of that one. And there was all these obstacles, and then as we got closer, it was the surgeon basically just saying, yes, you can, but you're gonna have to work.
Turned out okay.
You're gonna have to wear a headgear. Oh, it has, and you know what I mean. I'd probably change it for the rest of my family, but I probably wouldn't want the pain again. Probably the worst pain I've ever. Well, it was the worst pain I've ever had in my life, but.
You got a second chance, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you just get to. It's an experience that I'm probably better for. Like, I don't know how you say that at the time. It sounds a bit ludicrous to say it now, but it sets you up for good lessons in the future of dealing with ups and downs, adversities, resilience, like all of them things. They just keep. There's kind of saying that you can't be resilient until you're challenged, isn't it? And that was a challenge that I had to deal with, and thankfully for me, the ignorance was bliss, was perfect for me. I went back playing with no fear of anything. It was just me, my mum, dad, and my family, and my sister that have just continued to cop it for the last however many years are we on from being 14 now. So yeah, I can't. 18 years, isn't it? So it's one of them.
Can I ask you then, the scrub cap?
Yeah.
You have always worn it. Presumably at the start you had to wear it. But now, is it just a habit? Is it a comfort blanket, or do you still have to wear it?
No, bizarrely, I actually wore it for most of my junior career. And the game that I actually clashed heads, I didn't have it on. I didn't always wear it. Probably school does things, doesn't it? And when you're playing for school rather than your club. And I was playing for school, probably a bit of peer pressure or whatever else. And I clashed heads then. Obviously, the top of the head hit my temple, and and obviously that's the weakest part of your head. So I had always worn it, didn't that day. Basically, the petulance of me, as I said, they keep having the arguments with the surgeon. You're not playing again. It'll be 3 years. It'll be this. If you go back, you're wearing head guard. I'll wear head guard. Don't worry, mate. That's fine if I'm allowed to go and play again. So that's why, and it's something that I've done ever since, and it just becomes the normal for you. You actually feel a bit naked without it at times.